Are you looking for ways to incorporate Google for Education and AI in your classroom? AI powered education is next. Casey and I are here today to discuss something super global. So this is both a product and it's something that is in like all of our lives, and it's Google. Google's everywhere. And we want to talk about how we can use Google for good because it's already in our classrooms. Many schools across the globe have Google classrooms and everything's connected, right? Like, Casey, like tell us how, for people that may not know, how integrated Google is at your school system.
So we would call ourselves a Google school because primarily our apps and services that we provide come from Chrome. You know, our students have Chromebooks, and so do our staff members, actually. And our email provider is Gmail. And so most of what we do is operate out of the Google suite. And so Google Classroom is our mainstay. It's sort of what we come back to and are expected to use with our students face to face and in an online setting if necessary and needed. And so it's important that we start thinking about what tools does the Google Suite offer in the AI or, generative AI world that will make our lives easier. Because I feel like I spend a lot of my time researching tools and services outside of the suite and thinking like, how can I get this to work with what I already have available to me? And just recently read an article updated from Google, June 24th. It's a very recent article for us about what is Google doing to help education, right? Like they're very specific to business, I feel like, but how about the business of education? And so there's a lot of really cool tools that are coming out for video creation, for image creation, for helping students just create more user-friendly products, whatever that might be. And I think there's a lot to explore. There's a ton that we need to see and invest in. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, but I think what's really great is that Google wants to hear from users all the time. So I don't know exactly where it's going. I know they've released some updates like, here's what's coming, but they also need to be thinking about what we want. And so this is an opportunity for us to talk about that sort of thing. So Sandra, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you think of as like a person who uses Google, and maybe your school doesn't, but somebody who uses it regularly.
Yeah, well, I guess I think about what you just said too about how, you're all connected to it. I think there's a spectrum, like some schools are not involved at all in Google, but for example, yours is, and many, many, many are. And then how, when you say, what is Google doing for education? It's like, once you graduate, then what are you going to do? And they offer all kinds of certificate programs globally to help people to get certified so that they can work in, whether it's business or military or education, whatever it might be. And it's a certification process, and it's on their own time, the worker's own time frame. And so if someone's trying to improve their educational, awareness, they're trying to have more economic mobility, Google is at least showcasing how they can equalize that by offering at any time you want to take and get a certification in the area in any part of like Google's, the world. They have employers looking for those graduates. So that is kind of like, we go from the school, high school, elementary setting to this is where it can go globally as an adult as well. And also there are high schools across the globe that are offering programs right inside the Google certification. So I think you were mentioning that. How about your administrator? What were they saying that they would like to do with that?
Yeah, my principal actually reached out and said, how do we get certification for students in the Google suite, in the Google world? Just as much as we want to offer CDL and CNA training for students, it's very specific to a certain career. Google is more like, how are we going to prepare these people for their everyday lives and in a professional way as well. Like these certifications don't just benefit a certain type of career. This is, like you said, for the lifelong learner. And also to add on to that, it's not just for students, right? It's not just for quote unquote kids. This is for parents too. Think about how much you want to know about what your child, your students are doing or have the availability to do. They can take this training as well, and it will help them personally and professionally too. So I think the training is important. It's only a couple of hours, but you could also go off and find other avenues, other things that might speak to you and your personal interests a little bit more. But what they're doing for students right now is really, it's kind of a pilot program, but I think it's becoming more and more available to say, we want to show students how to use generative AI products. We want to show them how to use these tools in a way that is ethical, that's fair, that's also showing them the reality of information that's available at our fingertips and like what does that mean to the students. So I think that that's huge, and I want to see our students learn from that.
Yeah. And again, like we were talking about, it's Google for good, and it does really happen at the college level now. When we talk, it's not these 4-year degrees all the time. I mean, that is still our core, but we're offering certifications all the time. We're following that same kind of model. We are offering, get people in the door, let them take a couple classes, get them certified, get, that kind of thing. And then maybe they'll come back and they'll take more classes. So again, just changing things up and showing that there are all these different opportunities, because again, it's like personalization. It's where we're really headed, that no matter where you are. And then also, like you were mentioning, training. And now I just to go back to us and our teachers, is that it is like a 2-hour, you can sign up to a free 2-hour generative AI for educators. And I know that Google also has, if you're not an educator, they, like you were just saying, they just have, you can just go on and get a basic understanding of AI, and it's all provided there and guide you through it, and so forth. So those are just some of the really exciting things that are out there. And the more again that we play with it, and if we have a little time, and I know time is the issue always, but let's play. And sometimes we don't want to talk about major corporations, and we don't want to always talk about Google, but you know what? That's reality, and we're using them all the time. So why not have them serve us as well?
Right. I don't think that we need to pretend like it doesn't exist and that it's not useful. We're going to save time. We're going to be able to collaborate more. We're going to discover new ways to enhance our classrooms. And I think that that's important for everybody.
Yeah. Google for good. Let's make sure that it's an equalizer. And that's our job, to make sure that our learners are literate to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.